Hey Flosstube, it's Brandy. How are you guys doing today? It is the Monday before Thanksgiving of 2018. I don't know what day it is, but it's the Monday before Thanksgiving. So I hope you guys are doing great. It is another stunning day here in the Pacific Northwest. We're used to rain and gross weather by now. And instead we have been blessed with this beautiful sunshine, really letting us enjoy the turning of the leaves for an extended period of time, which has been great. The flip side to that is that we're pretty dependent on our snow and glacial waters from the mountain. And unfortunately, our glacier has kind of gone away. And the snow is not falling as much as it used to. So, that being said, I love this weather, but I hope it snows also. So, anyway, I hope that you're doing great wherever you are and that today finds you well. So, I'm going to start off today. We are going to talk about the blouse that I bought, that I coffee stained and stitched on, but we'll do that kind of towards the end. First, I wanted to, let's talk Thanksgiving super quick. So we started an interesting little tradition, sorry about the glare, about 8 years ago, I think it was. We were having some family issues, and there was a lot of tension kind of in our extended family. So being with them for the holiday wasn't really possible. And that's really hard. That is really, really hard. And I know that some of you guys out there know how difficult it can be when it's holiday time and you've got either a dysfunctional family or a broken family, or you've lost a loved one or whatever. Holidays can be hard for that. So we started a tradition 8 years ago where what we did is all four of us each picked out our two favorite foods in the world. And that's what we made for Thanksgiving, because my family doesn't really like the traditional Thanksgiving meal. So I wasn't going to cook a traditional Thanksgiving meal and then have everybody not be happy about it. So we had this weird little smorgasbord. We had like orange chicken and rice. We had lasagna. We had homemade mac and cheese, mashed potatoes. It was the weirdest food ever. And it was enough to feed an army, and we only had the four of us. But it was wonderful, and we enjoyed it very, very much. So all of this is to say, if you have a wackadoodle family, or you don't have anywhere to really feel like, you're calling it home or whatever, find a way to make it work for you. You don't have to be traditional, right? You can do your own thing and make something new. Even though the family issues that we were having have been resolved, relationships have been restored, and all of that is fine now. We still, this year, it's just going to be the four of us, and we're going to do the same exact thing. And we're doing that now out of choice because that's become our tradition. So you just never know. But make the holiday work for you. Don't buy into the hype that it has to be a certain way. I guess that's my encouragement. Speaking of family, so my extended family, on my mom's side, I really like to do family history and genealogy and that kind of thing. So I've kind of become our family historian, and I love it. It's very, very fun. So this picture here, I'll try to get it without glare. So this little baby is me. This is my mom. This is her mom, my grandma. This is her mom, my great-grandma. And her mom, my great-great-grandma Sear. 5 generations, you guys. That's cool. I remember my great-great-grandma Sear. We used to call her Grandma Grape for reasons that I don't know, but that's what we called her. And she was a cool lady. Um, I I have a lot of stories from her that were actually written by her daughter, but remembrances of, um, moving across states in wagons, and we've got actually other family who was on the Oregon Trail and their stories, and so it's just neat to have these records of this grand history that happened, that is what brought me to this place in time. And without these ancestors of mine, I wouldn't be here. So it's really fun to dig into those past things. So in honor of that, I took a little this little frame thing was actually a piece of a larger sampler, and I just took it and wrote in the name Sear, and or didn't write it in, I stitched it in. Anyway, I will do a larger kind of memorial sampler, I think, for those women that have come before me. At the end of this video, I'm hoping to have enough time to read a poem that was written by my grandmother, who was a really avid writer. She actually even had her own newspaper for a few years, several years, in the town that she lived. So she just decided one day that she was going to rent a typewriter and make a newspaper, because that's the world she grew up in. So very cool. So let's talk stitching, yeah? All right. First of all, I want to show you this. This is a pin cushion. Y'all, this was my first pin cushion. It is not good. I made this several years ago. It's supposed to be an oval. Right now it looks more like a potato. It's terrible. You guys, I had no idea what I was doing. I just was winging it. I did not put in nearly enough fill, so when you squish it, you stab yourself. It's stitched. I did a great job on the stitching. I mean, I'll just say that. I did a really good job on the stitching, but the finishing is terrible. I call it a beautiful mess, because it is. And I was going to refinish it, but decided no, because this symbolizes me. A beautiful mess. So that's what it is. Yay. I just thought I'd show that to you guys, because I have gotten better. I have definitely improved. So lately I've been doing a lot of stitching of just some smalls, because I've wanted to have some things that are just sort of quick and easy that I could just sort of, I don't know, feel satisfaction with, as opposed to big pieces that, take a long time. So I've been doing some small things. One of the small things that I've been doing is from Beth over at Heartstring Samplery. She has this whole series of festive little fobs. This Christmas edition, I believe, is her 11th in this series, and it was, no, I'm sorry, her 11th just was released, and that's the winter edition. The Christmas edition might be the 10th. Anyway, they're these little fobs, and they're wonderful, and they're fun, and they're so quick and easy to stitch. And you can swap colors if you don't have the right things, and you can find it, scrap and stitch, and it's all good, right? So that's what I've done. I've also stitched from her Woodland series, which I don't, see quick. I don't have the, there we go. I don't have the cover for it anymore for some reason, but it's the Woodland series. And in the Woodland series, well, the first one that I stitched, I was very excited about. It was very cute, right? Cute. The next morning, I woke up, and without drinking coffee first, I decided I was going to make my very first scissors fob. And then I cut the linen. And that's how I cut it. You can't attach that to anything. You can't fold that over anything. What was I thinking? I wasn't. You know why? No coffee. Word to the wise, drink your coffee. So I stitched a different one. And I came up with that. So that was my very first ever scissor fob. It's not too shabby, right? Isn't it cute? I think it's adorable. And do you know what? These are my first... Yeah, this is my very first pair of fancy embroidery scissors. And my mommy got them for me for my birthday. And then there's my little thing. Okay, I did another fob. This is from the Christmas edition. It is a reindeer. The lighting's not great. I finished it with that. It's kind of crooked. And I hate the rickrack. I did not do a good job on the rickrack. It's not the right color. But oh well. It's done. It's attached. Life is grand. So those are the things that I finished. But wait, there's more. Because my friend Beth asked me to come over to her house and do a tutorial with her. And I said, yes, please, teach me everything you can. So I went to her house and we made little fabric boxes with our stitching on top. I think that's the top. I don't think it matters. Anyway, so she walked me through how to make this little fabric box from just a little paper mache thing that she had found at the thrift store. And we just covered it all in fabric, inside and out. And there's the inside of the lid. And I just took a piece of my stitching. I didn't even like this stitching. I didn't like the colors that I had chosen for it. And the variegation was just pretty extreme. And I mean, and you can still tell, but I gave it a coffee bath because I figured worst case scenario, like I don't even like it, so whatever. But now that it's kind of been muted down, I like it much better. So, cute little box. It sits at my desk. I love it. I'm so happy about it. So, if you would like to learn how to make one of these boxes, I highly recommend it. It's an easy project. It's super good for beginners. It doesn't require a ton of fabric or special equipment or anything like that. And so yeah, go over to Heartstring Samplery. That's with Beth Twist. And there's like an hour-long tutorial on it. And we just walk you through it step by step. She makes one as well during the process. So you get to see us both with the finished project. So go check that out. And another Beth thing real quick. So I showed you guys this, I think, my very first video. This is a piece that she designed. And right in this little patch here is supposed to be a square. And you stitch everything but your initials and the date. Well, the color that it was called for wasn't coming through on this linen. So I frogged it. And then I did a different color. But it wasn't the right gold. I tried to use gold, but it wasn't the same. And so then it just looked ugly. So I frogged it. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just find the right gold, that same gold there, and I'm going to just do my initials and the date, and just be done with it. I love this piece though, because I love the colors in it, and I just think that it's such a sweet little piece. So yeah, I will get that done, and then I believe this is one that was going to go in a frame, if I remember correctly. Oh, another piece that I finished. Another Beth piece. My goodness sakes. She had a little freebie for Thanksgiving called Grateful, Thankful, Blessed. So I stitched this, and you can see There's like my threads behind it. You can't see it in person. I don't know. The lighting must just be so that you can. I found this little tin candle stand thing at Hobby Lobby for a few bucks, and picked it up and thought, well, that ought to fit on it. And it does. It's not attached. I just finished it with some of that and rickrack. But here's the problem with this. I just used a scrap piece of linen, and it wasn't quite big enough, and so I really had to stretch it. So if you, well, the rickrack is covering all my sins. If you could pull that rickrack off and see what I did, it's not pretty. And I also wasn't able to get it as puffy as I wanted it to be. So I'm disappointed with myself in having not done the best job that I know I could have done. But I was just excited to do it. And so I made concessions, and I shouldn't have. This is another problem I have, is in my enthusiasm to get things done, sometimes I either cut corners or I try to take the easy way out, I guess. It's not always a good idea. Sometimes it's fine, but not always. Oh, wow. Lesson learned. So, here's a thing that I haven't worked on this in a while, but it's a free chart. I don't know where it came from. I mean, it came from the internet, but I don't remember from who. And it's little mushrooms, and it's cute. It's supposed to be a biscornu. That's not going to happen. It's just going to be a little pin cushion, like a square pin cushion, because I don't know how to do a biscornu, and quite frankly, I don't feel like learning right now. So I'm not going to. Ha 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 ha. Okay. But I love mushrooms, and I love those kinds of mushrooms because they really exist. I didn't know that they really existed until, 5 or 6 years ago. We were out getting a Christmas tree at a local Christmas tree farm, and we're walking along, and all of a sudden my daughter and I saw these kinds of mushrooms just dotting the path, and they led us to our Christmas tree, and it was the most beautiful, perfect tree ever. I only thought that these mushrooms existed like in gnome tales. So I think that there were gnomes at this Christmas tree farm, and they led us to our perfect tree. So I love these mushrooms. And I sound like I'm a crazy lady, but I'm okay with that. All right, here's another thing I've been stitching. It is a freebie, of course, from Paulette from Plum Street Samplery. In everything, give thanks. Here's where I'm at. Again, see, like this stitch would probably tell me, or this pattern would probably tell me like, oh, you should have a 12 by 9 piece of fabric or whatever. I'm like, nah, I could work with like an inch on either side, right? I mean, really. This is what I do. This is how I take shortcuts, and sometimes it bites me in the ass. Oh well. Okay, real quick. So, I told you last video about the shirt, the linen blouse that I bought at Goodwill. Hold on, I gotta get a drink. This was a coffee cup from my grandma, whose poem I will be reading in a minute. You guys, she's 91. She outlived my grandpa by a few years, but she has dementia. And so, boy, dementia is a weird thing. You know, at the beginning stages, it's kind of funny. We're past funny. It's just getting sad now. So, anyway, I love that mug because it reminds me of my grandma and who she is and who she was. Anyway, it's gonna make me cry. Back to stitching. So I bought that blouse, right? From Goodwill. $7, $6, something like that. And deconstructed it, put it in coffee and stained it. And this is what I've come up with. Coffee stained linen. And a lot of it. This is a piece that I stitched on it. So here's the deal. This feels like it's probably about 40 count to me. I'm not entirely sure, but it's very small. This is another one of Beth's festive fobs. But you can see, I mean, that's considerably smaller. Oh my gosh, you guys, I'm sorry. Between lighting and my fingers. Anyway, this has been kind of hard to stitch on just because it is considerably smaller than anything I've stitched on before. And I was also working with a stupidly small piece of fabric because I'm like that. All right, you guys, my throat is about done. So I'm going to read you a poem now written by my grandma. This was probably sometime in the 60s, I'm guessing. Yeah. So here we go. This is the book that she made. Isn't that great? I love that. All right. A letter to Sears and Roebuck. Dear Mr. Sears and Mr. Roebuck, alas, you're the cause of my running amok. I sit with your books and I wish and I dream, but the prices you ask me make me stifle a scream. Your pretty young ladies you use as your bait make me green with my envy, since I'm not a size 8. I look at your dishes, your jewelry and shoes, and before long I'm prostrate with no money blues. Why must you torment me when reading my mail? I find that you're having a pre-season sale. You're hard to resist when clearly I see you have just the right dress for a lady like me. You have just the right slip covers, just the right hat, and Junior reports you have just the right bat. Father exclaims you have just the right tool, and Sis needs that lunchbox that's just right for school. Oh, I could go on like this all through the night, as I see on each page you have something just right. You frustrate my ego, demolish my pride. You bring out the worst of my temperament side. You vex and confuse me with things that are new. Your method of tempting me should be taboo. You encourage the breeding of cold discontent at a time I am forced to begrudge every cent. Please forgive me, kind sirs. I just had a hard day. Somehow I got completely carried away. Enclosed find my check, amount $10.92. Send me 3 dozen diapers, standard size, white. Thank you.